And now to the real reason we're here. I'm so thrilled to have our two speakers today, Louis Sterling and Robert Daigle. I'm going to introduce Louis first, but I want to just give you a background on why these two were selected today. Louis Sterling is not only an old friend, but he's made a big difference in our community. My husband John and Louis have been friends, I guess, since college, and we've always watched Big City Lou making things happen. He's a developer that many of you are familiar with, and he's the fellow, and his company, Sterling Properties, is behind the Target at I-10 and Louisiana Avenue. And I had just started my job January 1st, 2008, when Upper Lafayette was very new, and that was such a beacon of hope for the community because there's been so many things going on, but as you know, there was not much development right there on the interstate. And to have a Target come in, and I know you've all seen the incredible growth right there, it opened up that whole Upper Lafayette market to make it visible. And then Robert, and again, Robert, I'll give your bio before we start. Robert is, of course, behind River Ranch, but he's currently developing Corrette Farms at, if you think of I-10 and I-49, you get off at the Ponte Mouton exit, and it's going to be a huge mixed-use development, what they call a traditional neighborhood development. And he's got other subdivisions I'm sure he'll be telling you about in Upper Lafayette Parish. But these two gentlemen, to me, represent what Upper Lafayette has been trying to do, is to open up awareness in everyone's eyes, coming in town that aren't familiar with Lafayette and people that have lived here, that all of North Lafayette, the upper part of Lafayette Parish, is a beautiful place in which to live, work, and invest. And in fact, as I mentioned earlier, Upper Lafayette was incorporated in the fall of 2006. So in 7 short years, you can see the progress that's been made. And it's all because of you guys, the people that support us. So I want to thank you. So our first speaker today, Louis Sterling, is a principal of Sterling Properties. He's been active in real estate for the past 30 years. He founded Sterling and Associates in 1981. And then in 1988, the firm merged into Moore and Ogden Companies, and they presently do business as Sterling Properties. He graduated from LSU in construction engineering, is a licensed real estate broker in Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, and has professional designations of Counselor of Real Estate, Certified Commercial Investment Member, and a Fellow of the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors. He's got the designation of Senior Certified Shopping Center Manager, Certified Leasing Specialist, and has appeared in federal and state court as expert witnesses in real estate matters. He's also very active in New Orleans, active with the New Orleans Metropolitan Association of Realtors, Director of the Gulf South Real Estate Information Network, Director of the Louisiana Association of Realtors. He served on innumerable boards relating to the commercial real estate market and civic organizations. Would you please join me in giving a warm welcome to Louis Sterling?
I need the clicker, but while I'm waiting on the clicker, thank you, Jan, and I'm happy to see Mayor Durrell here. Without a lot of his help, this project wouldn't have happened, and some of my other colleagues and friends. Just a 10-second commercial, since I'm not sure how well any of y'all know Sterling Properties, but we're in 11 cities. We have 151 people. Our newest office is in Mobile. We manage and own around 14 million square feet, of which about 70% of that is retail shopping centers. And the rest of it's office, and we have a little over 700 apartments. And currently we have about 150 million square feet under our development, 150 million projects under development. Most of that is it's a little bit of office, but most of that's retail. New Orleans, and then Slidell and Bossier, and finishing up over here in Lafayette. Why North Lafayette? And that's a big question. And people ask me, why did you come to North Lafayette? Our business is, we're very tenant friendly. Our business model is we're a demand developer. In other words, if we don't build it and hope they come, we build it because we know they want to come. And so we have a great relationship with Target and Penny's and Belk, and many retailers, and I guess back in the 2005 or 6, I had a conversation with the Target folks, and they're very sophisticated, and they knew their sales on the south side of town were at a level that it's interesting how things work, but if it's too high, they know they're missing sales because it's too inconvenient, and the lines are too long, the parking lot's congested, they got these issues. And so when you look at Lafayette and you look at their sales on the south side of town, they know that they need to relieve that store, and 1 and 1 is going to be 3. It's not going to be 2. And so they, because of our relationship, they'll come to us, and then we'll start the process. Okay, North Lafayette, great idea. And then we do our demographic studies, and retail follows people. So we're not the leading indicator. I know there's some economics majors out here, but we follow people. We don't build it, ahead of the growth. So when the good news is when Robert builds his project out there, those people need to be serviced, and they're going to have demands of different types of businesses, et cetera. So we do a big economic analysis of the demographics. The traffic counts that Jan was speaking about, that's very important. Traffic patterns are very important. We analyzed many sites up I-49 and I-10, and had many meetings with the mayor and Lita and Greg and his group, and developed data, and when the retailers come to town, we drive every neighborhood and looking for rooftops. I mean, that's the main thing. And so why North Lafayette? Well, there were lots of brand new rooftops in Cecilia and up the Lowe's. I forget the name of the neighborhoods back in, as you go up 49, Opelousas was growing. Everything's growing, still growing. And so chicken and eggs, you need some chickens and you need some eggs, and you gotta have them both, and people make people, and so it's kind of a joke in our business. People make people, divorces make households, and what one of the things that has always excited me about Lafayette is you got young population, educated population, and they're making babies, and they're growing, and they need to move, and they need affordable housing, they need, and North Lafayette is a great place to expand. It's higher land and all the other things that y'all are all very familiar with. And so, but if you move out in in North Lafayette, you need services and you need convenience. And when you looked at the traffic patterns and you looked at Ambassador Caffrey, and it got so congested, and you looked at the I-10 patterns and the traffic going east and west and then north, it made sense to us to build a big power center on the north side of town. Now, this is what it looked like back in, it says 2011, that's actually 2007. So, but if you notice, there was this land is where we built it. There's a big lake in the middle of it, and that's the Lita Industrial Park. And so why did we pick 40 acres with a lake in the middle of it? Well, we spent a long time trying to figure out different sites. In fact, we looked at the site that Robert's doing his project on, and we looked at up here by Lowe's, and we looked at all of these intersections, and we looked down here, and the long and the short of it was there was so much brain damage on all of these sites and so much congestion, and this was the new gateway and the new road going north that kind of made it easier to move around. All the people in North Lafayette could move around, that we said we can fill a lake and make this work and make it the new gateway to Lafayette. So now we had to prove it up, and you can see all these new neighborhoods that got built on this aerial. And let's see if it, yeah, here you go. This was one of the things that got us excited. This new infrastructure. Infrastructure's very important for people like developers, like ourselves. That was also important. It moved people around North Lafayette more easily. Those were large factors in our decision. The city of Lafayette, and the parish of Lafayette, they had invested in infrastructure. And actually on the south side, I mean, I can remember in the 80s when Ambassador Caffrey was put in and the whole loop and the Callis loop, there was the new loop around the city, and it was that drives development. And this drove us to this location, these two important arteries. Now, also on this property was I'll call it the bridge to nowhere, right here. And part and parcel of our I guess economic decision was, and hopefully I know Jan touched on it, we were and are, not were, we are, I hope, the start of what could be the service road here, and it crosses the bridge goes in, and that again, because congestion is what arteries like this relieve. So, and you can see the mass of this project. This building right here is now built, so we're 100% leased. It's not on, this aerial is old, so it's not here, but this building is here, and it's 100% built. The only thing that's not built out is this 2.1 acres, which we've always felt was a good hotel location, and once or if this service road gets in, it'll be a really good hotel location. Let's see what else we got here. This is the magnitude of the shopping center. It's about 600,000 square feet. That's as big as the mall, pretty much. I guess the mall's expanded over the years, but it's 100% leased. And I think everybody knows all the tenants. But some of these traffic counts are a little outdated. Obviously, there's our site. This is 2010 numbers. That was, so that, I don't know why they're on this plan here, but that's, Jan said 67, that's close to 67. The point is that you can see the way the traffic's moving. It's 70,000 on this side, 65,000, and that's all driven by this power center. People are coming down and they're moving in this direction. So what are the economics? We've invested, I guess, $60 million if you add everybody up. That's a combination of Target, Pennies, ourselves, some of these out parcels. And this was a very complicated project. We had, you had a lake, you had road systems. When we first picked this property, and Louisiana Avenue was in, and of course, when you lay out a shopping center, the curb cuts are in the wrong spot, and all, like the turn lanes are in the wrong spot, and you have to redo things. But also they had street lights, but as I recall, they weren't wired up, so they wouldn't light up. They would just, and there was no water, and there was no water pressure out there. There was no gas, the sewer. So there was a lot of infrastructure, although what happened was they created an interchange. And then we had to figure out how to make it really special. And it was really important to Lafayette how it looked and felt and worked. And so we did a TIF on this project, which is, I guess, controversial in some circles, but this is this is, in my opinion, the right way to do a TIF, and we did it right. We put in the beginning of the service road, and we brought all the utilities to this intersection so that all four quadrants can actually be developed. I know that this, I don't know if it's, I guess the eastern side is under contract, and it's probably going to be developed before, if not the end of the year, at least in the spring. A lot going on there, and it'll be a nice addition to what we've done. I mean, we had to to get sewer to this site, we had to bore underneath the interstate and hook up over here. And that's all cost a lot of money. The TIF was about $8 million. If you look at the sales tax revenue from this, I think our sales are about $150 million, and the way the TIF works is 1% was an additional sales tax, and then the state, I guess, rebated or waived another 1%, so it's 2%. So that's, it's over $2 million in sales tax that goes to retire those bonds. It's $8 million in bonds, so it doesn't take long to retire $8 million of bonds when you got $2 million a year coming in, and which means that the rest of the money can be used elsewhere in the parish. So it was a good deal for all, and that doesn't count. I think we pay over $1 million a year in property taxes and permanent jobs. There's probably a $13.5 million payroll coming out of this property here, maybe more, because it doesn't include these tenants. Well, definitely more, and like I want to say 900 jobs, over 900 jobs with about 300 full-time, because you get part-time workers in McDonald's and stuff like that. But so if you add them all up, so it's an exciting. While back to the question, why North Lafayette? The government was very supportive. They started the infrastructure. They worked with us, and they were proactive in solving some of the infrastructure needs for us to there's certain things that only government can do. Private citizens really can't do. It's just too overwhelming and too expensive and too complicated it's not all about money. It's about affecting people as well. And you got to do, you got to have a responsible government that listens to its citizens, but also does the right thing. And that's a whole nother speech for another day. But the good news is why North Lafayette? You had good progressive elected officials that understood what needed to bring Lafayette forward. There's always differences of opinions, and that's why you have, like I told one state legislature, I said, half the people in this room hate you and the other half love you, so they're just like me. So anyway, the point is that it's a complicated team, a complicated task, and it took a lot of cooperation from our company, the LEDA, parish government, and the neighborhood associations and everyone to pull something like this off. I guess the why, so it all worked. We invested that much money. The sales are good. The tenants, I asked my accounting department, they're up like 14% from last year. So the sales are good. So as the sales go up, obviously sales taxes go up. So that's good. I will say that not everybody reports. We don't have everybody's exact sales, so we have to depend on friendships. And they say, yeah, I'm up and I'm this, and they'll give us general amounts, but it's average is probably $300 a square foot. There's 600,000 square feet, so you can do the math. It's a lot of money. The future, what to me the future of North Lafayette. I was asked to kind of comment on that, and I did, but I'm gonna go back. We created a shopping node here that didn't exist, and now you got 4 corners. And over our lifetime, those other 4 corners will be developed by somebody, maybe us, maybe others, and it'll create more jobs. And it goes back to the jobs create people, people create people, and it's a reason to want to live here and to live in North Lafayette, closer to work. Closer to housing, it's all interconnected. So I think the future of North Lafayette, just from what we started here, it'll grow. Now, what pace is all about jobs and the economy and all these other complicated things. But I think it's all good. It's all good news. And part of what it will affect you, and the reason we're so excited about I-10 corridor from Mobile to Lake Charles is, if you look at all the economic studies, and Lafayette's in the middle of that too, and it's the oil and gas and the manufacturing and the chemical plants and Baton Rouge and all this stuff. If you look at it, in that area, 2 miles each way from New Orleans, where I am, 2 hours each way, excuse me, they're supposed to create something like 400,000 jobs. That's not people, that's jobs. So that's a lot, and over the next 10 years. So they got to live someplace. I don't know if you've been to Lake Charles lately, but they're doing man camps and temporary housing and all this stuff. That's all going to help North Lafayette, because people like, you say, well, they're living in Lake Charles. Well, it's all connected, quite honestly. So I think the future's really bright, and it's got to be thought about, and it's got to be managed, and it's got to be, you got to have responsible government, responsible developers, and it's got to be really thought out well. So that's my speech for today.